I just don't have the personality.
Not everybody does.
Or the comfort level to like there would be days where I'd just be like, oh, I can't be on camera today. You know what I mean? Like, for sure.
That's not that abnormal. I mean, I think it's weird that I'm willing to be on camera so much.
Well, no, it's personality type. Like, I mean, Clint, he's like, you know, been my best friend since we were 15.
We'll grab my cup.
But he is just super outgoing,
all those
comfortable.
Dudes were super nice last night.
Oh yeah,
like,
dude.
Your buddies are good dudes, and like you should be. I mean,
That's
you
what.
didn't know that.
Well, that's
like,
kind of what I was telling you last night about punk rock and community, man. Like,
you forgot me, didn't you?
well, I mean, it was just these are the kind of people that I've always like been lucky enough to surround myself with.
Well, that's kind of what I meant with about perspective, because I unfortunately didn't have that luck at the beginning. I'm at a place now where I have like such a great group of people that I get to hang out with and talk with and be friends with. But like at the beginning, man, it was weird. I think it was a bunch of insecure. Everybody was like 19, 20, 21. Dude, you're still a kid at 19, 20, 21. You still don't know it when you're 19. You think you're an adult.
And you want to be friends with or get to know the slightly older group, you know, the 24, 25 guys who have been doing it longer.
Right.
But that was also the mid to late 90s where like punk rock was getting very like, well, you know, it was on the radio all of a sudden, and it was on MTV, and so now
that was weird.
So the punk rock community got really like gatekeeperish, you know,
Yeah.
in those days, and so it was like you kind of had to choose a side, and I never would. It was just like I'd hang out with the pop punk kids, I'd hang out with the
I always thought that was
kids,
strange that they wanted you to choose an allegiance, and I'm like, because like, and I think that's the reason I was getting crap for being a Rancid fan, is because the guys that I was hanging out with, they were buying nothing but Defiance records and A Global Threat, and even the Unseen was still cool back then. They were still super underground. They hadn't signed to a bigger label yet, and it was just a weird thing. Like,
and by the way, to shit on things like. What kills me is like, to your point, like Rancid makes money, and what do? They start a label so they can help bands. You know what I'm saying? And then they're still being called sellouts. It's like, dude, they're putting these other bands out. You know, they're giving these other bands a chance to like,
which is super crazy and not something that they're obligated to do at all.
And it is so it so honors that DIY ethos, you know, and like. And instead, it's like they're getting,
it's okay. I think a part of it comes from capitalism, and that's naturally a thing that punk rockers, at their core, don't really like a lot. And I get that. Yeah. I get it. But
they're still shopping at Walmart.
Thank you. And it's we still have we still have to pay bills. We still have to have a job. You still have to pay rent. It is what you don't like it. That doesn't mean that you have to hate on somebody that was fortunate enough to get. Like, so I don't know if this is true or not, but I did a video about Tim Armstrong and Pink getting that Grammy together. First off, if you watched that, thank you. I did not think it was going to do any views. It's at like 1,500. Wow. Dude, blew my mind. So anyhow, the point is that in the comments, somebody said, yeah, he used that money to start Hellcat. And I was like,
it was that, or how come the Wolves money? I don't know.
I don't know which it was, but either way, I thought, that's badass, man. That he took that he got that opportunity, and he was like, "Oh, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put out Dropkick, Distillers, F-, and then we'll find other, Leftover Crack, all these other bands." I do think it's funny how that all went down. It tells you how smart Tim Armstrong is and how stupid SZA is, because with Leftover Crack, this is in the video, the street punk thing. Mm-hmm. Apparently, they wanted to have.
What is the drama with him? I know there's drama surrounding
with SZA. He's just a creepy dude. Oh, okay. That's, to my understanding, he's like, okay, look, I don't know because I wasn't there. I think he's like just kind of a creeper, and it's like, I don't think he's done anything that starts with an R, but I think that he's just kind of a skizzy dude. But like,
I don't like. I mean, I kind of like touristed my way through some Leftover Crack, but not all of that stuff was for me.
No. I like 20% of it, but the 20% I like, I love.
No, I mean, it's
weird.
That's what I mean. I've heard great songs by them,
and then I've heard some garbage.
Yeah, and so like I just don't. It's not an artist I followed enough to understand what the drama surrounding him was.
So I followed him enough for that, but I just didn't pay attention to it, and I probably should have. And here's the thing: is like. He's just kind of a scummy dude, to my understanding. Okay. I don't know him personally, but I know people that do know him, and I've seen him. I've talked to him, hung out with him enough to know that he's kind of a. He definitely had this rock star thing about him that he was like, oh well, I'm SZA from Leftover Crack, and so my band is the most fucking this and that. And it's like, well, no, you had an opportunity to be on a label that could have really gotten you somewhere, and you didn't want to stay on it because you were being a whiny baby about you wanted to be an edgelord with your lyrics and your content. And I understand about like wanting to be like, or not even wanting to be, but like having a really anarchist like way of living and a message and stuff. I get that. But if you have an opportunity to get your message out to more people, but you don't want to take it because they won't let you call your album like, okay, I don't know if it's exactly what it was, but something like Kill the Children or some shit like that. And it had really gnarly graphic images on the front. And Tim was like, I don't know if I'm good with that, bro. Like, I don't know. And so that's what made them like split with Hellcat. Is they did that one album, that Mediocre Generica, that's a dig at Hellcat. They put that album out on Hellcat as a dig at them. And it's like, well, look who's doing what and who's doing what. You know, who you know, and I don't have no problem with him really. Outside of if he's done some sketchy shit, then okay, I have a problem with that. But like outside of that, I don't care. Do what you want with your music, your art, your time, your life. Do it. But don't dog on somebody trying to help you because you want to be an edgelord and they're like, I don't think it's
or take their money to make a record and then insult them.
And then insult them, correct? Yes, and I mean that's what he did. And you know, whatever. People aren't perfect. Neither is he. Neither am I. So I guess I don't want to like hold it against him forever. But it is a dumb move in my opinion. But I liked Choking Victim a little better personally. But they didn't have much music out there. But what they had, I thought was a little bit better quality. Like throughout the whole record. But that kind of music, that band Last Night, that was a good band. I don't know if you remember them.
Corrupt Vision? The one
yes, bro. That band was good. I bought everything they had by then. Not all copies of it, but I bought everything that they had available. I bought one for me.
Did they have vinyl? I didn't even look.
Yes, dude.
I should have picked it up.
It's okay. I got a hold of the guy, and we're going to talk and do some trading. I'll get you an LP, and I'll send it to you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I got you, bro.
They were really good.
They were really good.
Again, they were from out of town, and like...
well, we were outside hanging out. I almost forgot to go get stuff, and that's like kind of one of the reasons I came up. Is to go grab a bunch of stuff from bands and hang out, And
I was just glad, like when I got there,
that's not
they were
fun,
they were like, bro, you're playing, you don't have to set up a tab. I was like, no, just please open a tab so I can tip. But I not always, but about half the time I forget to close the tab because I'm just like I don't go out much, and so when I do, I'm like
I've definitely done
seeing
that.
all these friends. They'll put a 20% on, but it's like, they're always so good to me. I always want to like hook it up.
For sure.
I mean, they charged me a penny last night, so I tipped them $20.
I mean, in all fairness, you've been around here a long time. You know most people for a long time.
But I don't go out, so I see all of them whenever I do, or not all of them, but a lot of them. So it's like I feel like every time I go out, like I hugged Ben. I saw him and his wife like when they got there, and I know they were there for the show, but I didn't see them.
Yeah.
And like that's what I mean is like. When I go out,
well, you'll see them in passing almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, I need to talk to them, and then, like, before I know it, either I've been caught up in too many conversations, or they've already left, or I'm leaving, or whatever, But
it's
so
weird.
Yesterday, I forgot to check the merch tables for vinyl.
I almost asked you, but you were busy, and I was like, well, I don't want to bug him with, like, the shit that I'm doing, because, like, that's something that I was absolutely interested in.
I meant to look, because, like...
Well, now that I know that, anytime I'm up here again, I'll be sure to be like, yo, I'll just buy you an LP if it's available. It's weird, like, when I started going to shows again, it had been about, I don't know an exact timeline, 6 to 7 years, a while. Mm-hmm. And I had never stopped listening to music like that I already liked, but I was so out of touch with like what was happening in Houston. And but it was so awesome to go back and run into all these people that I was like, I wonder who's still going to be kicking around, like hanging out and still going to shows. And it was like the exact dudes that I was hoping. It was like my buddies that were like really my friends. And I was like, dude, yes. There's been a handful of people that I've been kind of wondering where they were, but the majority of people were the people I was really happy to see, man. It was pretty cool.
Oh. Man. Yeah, most of the BTO crew was.
I did not do gang vocals on this, but I would have. So there's that.
It's cool. I forgot to take pictures with everyone holding this who did gang vocals.
Man, I actually was talking about Thorpe Records the other day with you, and then I got that. Then Thorpe Records came up like organically in another conversation, and I told the guy, I was like, "Yeah, dude, Thorpe Records is great," and I was like, "Actually, I got to do some vocals on an album that's on Thorpe Records," and they were like, "Oh, dude, yeah, I did some gang vocals on some stuff," and I was like, "Actually, it wasn't gang vocals. It was just me And I'm really proud of that. I'm a dork, man. I don't have a lot of records out there that have my voice on it. I was really fucking... So shout out to Gabe Wells and Pride Kills on them fucking cats, man. That's my dudes, man.
Those two non-Born to Lose or non-Nowhere Bound records hanging up in the kitchen. Dylan had... One of them's his solo record and one's that split. And but they're up there because, like, Dylan... A lot of times Dylan will invite...
I was like, where's my phone? It's in use.
He'll often, like, invite... people, singers that he knows to come and sing on, you know, like
oh, for sure, yeah,
songs.
Absolutely,
not just gangs, but like
no, like verses and
dual leads.
Yeah, maybe like a chorus or something, hook or something. That dude was super cool, man. Shout out to Dylan, man. That guy was awesome. I mean, I talked to him on the video, but that was the first time we'd ever really talked. And then as soon as he got out of the car, he was like, "What's up, dude?" I was like, "Let's go."
That's Dylan. It's like, hey. We would laugh because in the van, like the second you turn the key, he's like out. And then he'd just wake up. He's like, "Did someone say sandwiches?" Like, no one said
Let's
sandwiches.
go. Did someone say sandwiches?
Sandwiches.
Yo, I should make a shirt that says, "Did someone say sandwiches?"
We were in some town in the Netherlands, and Alex was like, I think we had a day off. She's like, "Yeah, you guys want to go to the Netherlands?" Like, yeah. And
that's a hell of a thing to be able to do on your day off.
Yeah, so we were like hanging out, and she had told Dylan because he loves food and sleeping so much. And, and she told me, yeah, there's this place like here where it's like it's a wall, and you like. You just put like €1 in there and you can get food out of this like wall, you know? And he's like, and so like we're walking around and he's found like some fish that he's eating. They're like whole fish. He's just like eating them like, he's having the time of his life. And like, and Alex is like, "Oh, Dylan, this is the town I told you about with the wall of food." And he's like, "You mean like surprise food?" And it's like, "No, you fucking idiot! You can see what you're buying."
Oh, I didn't know what you're saying either. So okay,
it's it's like windows where like
it's like a giant vending machine.
Yeah, basically like a wall, but like sandwiches and stuff.
I like it. I'm in. I'm interested.
Like surprise food? Like, no, you fucking idiot! You can see what you're buying. And it was funny because it almost was like the air came out of him. Like he almost would prefer just like Russian roulette with.
I've got content ideas now, dude. A, we should make a shirt that says, "Did someone say sandwiches?" I think that's a pretty great idea. But B, if Dylan is down, I will make 10 different things and put them in boxes you cannot see through. And I'll just be like, "Here, close your eyes and eat this." And one of them will be gross and the rest will be rad. And then maybe he won't get to the gross one. I don't know, but I think we can make fun times out of that.
We were playing one time in Münster, and like they were going to set up
in where?
Münster, Germany. It's really close to where Alex lives. So like,
is it Münster like where the cheese comes from? That's Münster.
Probably, but
M-U-E-N-S-T-E-R. I wonder if that's where the cheese comes from.
Probably.
That's how you know I'm real fat. My first thought was like, "Where's the cheese at? Is that from the cheese place?"
But like, we were playing this show, it was this place. I think it's called Rare Guitar, and it's like this guy Rudy runs it. It's like a music shop. They got a stage in there, real cool spot. And like, Alex is like, it's cool because there's like this Asian food truck that opens up, and like that's who's gonna feed us. And just this massive like thing of like really good like. Usually on the road you're eating sandwiches and weird shit.
Sure.
And this was like something to look forward to. But it was going to be about an hour before the lady had set everything up for the food truck. We get there and Dylan's just like, "I gotta find some food." And we're like, "Dude, like this is going to be open in like an hour, free." Like.
He's like, "An hour?"
He's like, "No, I can't wait." And then he takes off walking. And I don't know how long he was walking around, but he sees this like I guess a restaurant. And it's got this giant cheeseburger painted on the front window. And he's like, "Oh, hell yeah, I'm going to get a cheeseburger." And he like walks in and he's like, "I'll take a cheeseburger." And then like, "We don't have cheeseburgers today, just pizza." He's like, "I'll take a pizza."
That's weird to have that on the window and not be selling them every day.
Right. Well,
different parts of the world, man, they do shit different.
Well, I don't know if they were out of meat or what the story was, but like he just was like, it was like, "Oh," this big giant.
I mean, that's like a deflated feeling right there. You go like, "That's what I've been waiting for all day, a cheeseburger."
By the time he got back, the food truck had been open for like half an hour, free.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
He definitely got some of that, and Clint made the mistake. Because they actually had, like, Clint loves super spicy stuff. And, and the lady was so excited because in Germany, most people don't like spicy stuff. And so
I guess not, huh? Germany doesn't seem like the kind of place.
So she was like super excited that she could give her spicy sauce to somebody who actually wanted it. And Clint was like, "Can I get extra?" And so she like put some in containers, and he put them in his jacket and forgot about them, and they broke open his jacket. So his jacket smelled kind of delicious. But like it was like. Yeah, he had like and some sort of spicy Asian sauce that his jacket took the smell on up for the whole tour.
You ever been to Japan? That's the place I want to go to one day.
Me too. We never got to do Asia or like Australia, and I really wanted to do both. So bad.
Both those places would be cool to visit.
Like I've never been to either, let alone played music in either. So the prospect of that was always on the goal list, and we just never made it happen.
Dude, you're still doing things they very well could.
Well, I always said like
I agree.
I don't know if it's true, but they're like, yeah, if you tour Japan, like people, I think they say you're usually doing like less than 10 shows because there's just, something like it's a small country, but there's just like there is a strong scene there from what I understand. But
it's my understanding.
But there's just X number of places that you would tour because of. I think it's just the geography of it all. Is like you're covering enough ground to where with like 5 to 10 shows that you pretty much play. Like people would travel apparently.
Sure, yeah. Anyway, well, it's a little more concentrated, I guess is the right word. You play here, and instead of it being like, 200 kids, it's like 500 because they all came from the surrounding areas. So you don't have to go to the surrounding areas. You just go to this place, right? Is that what you're kind of getting at?
I think it's just because like, and again, I'm so terrible with geography, but like, especially compared to like the States. I mean, it's a small country. I don't know relative to what size I would compare it to because I'm terrible at geography. But that's sort of the point. Is like it's not big enough to where you would be playing 30 different cities because people can travel relatively easily.
Yeah.
Again, that's my understanding. Never been there, so I can't. I might be completely full of shit.
No, I mean that's kind of what I've heard about it too. It's like most places they get packed out because the kids are willing to come there from wherever they're at. I don't know how they're traveling. Maybe train, maybe. A lot of places that I don't know. I've never really been anywhere, so I don't know. But it feels like a lot of places have trains that get them around.
Europe,
I think that's like so weird that we don't do that.
Well, it's here the problem, like, because you have places in the States where public trans is good, or it may be dirty, but it's effective to get where you're going. But in Texas, it's like, and part of that's just the way that the West was settled to where people were like acquiring these huge acreages because the U.S. wanted us to settle in it. So like everything's spread out instead of the city being built up and up and up. It's just wide and wide and wide.
Well, that's especially in Texas.
So the reality of like. And the costs of doing like an effective public transportation, whether it's trains or like, I mean, we've got buses, obviously.
Okay, so if we have money to do, and I don't want to get into like a political conversation necessarily, but if we have the money to give billions of dollars to people for whatever we're giving the billions of dollars away, it seems to me like we have the money to put into a rail system to go at least from city to city. Now, I mean, you get to that city, you got to go do your own thing.
I mean, Amtrak does do that, but it's just slower or whatever. I'm talking about like navigating in town, exactly.
I'll talk specifically to get you from like, I can go from Austin to San Antonio on a train real quick. It takes me like an hour and a half, and I can just hop on there. It's $12.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like that's something that is feasible. We could do that, especially in Texas, and I just don't know why they don't. It doesn't. I don't know. I don't see a reason for them not to because I feel like that's another way to make money. Even it may take a couple of years to recoup.
It may be that because like I don't know how any of that works, but I think. It's like the government's paying for some, but the cities are having to pay for portions of it. I think, and so some cities may just be like, "Look, it's too much. We don't have the budget."
That could definitely be it. Because I know Houston has the light rail thing that we put in 15, 20 years ago now, and it's like it really helps, man. But it's a Houston thing, but I feel like that could be made to where it goes elsewhere.
Yeah, they've got a light rail in Austin, but it's like. Austin's so spread out. It's like it'll take you from like north to south, but it doesn't. I mean, it's kind of like it's pretty much.
Well, no, it's supposed to be a one straight line for the most part, but that's still helpful. Like,
sure,
you can get on that and then Uber somewhere, and it'd be $6 versus get on Ubering somewhere it costs you $35, and it's just I don't know. I feel like there's a way to do it, and it's probably they're like, oh, it doesn't make enough money for us. That's probably what it is. A lot of that stuff is like that.
Well, and you have to have the planning and the zoning to like. Okay, now if we're going to build a new track, well, we've got to clear out whatever's in its way.
Yeah.
I don't
know. That's true. There's a lot of construction involved. I just feel like there's a way to make a bunch of money there. And again, it's over my head too, but I'm still going to talk about it. It doesn't make sense that we don't have it. I don't get it. Until somebody that's smart enough to sit down and tells me why we don't do it, I'm still going to say we should do it because it would make so much stuff. Like, think about this. Think about if you're a young band. You don't have a lot of money. But you do have venues in Dallas, San Antonio, and Austin that'll let you play there. Well, if we had one of those things, you could just get from city to city, and you could get somebody from that city to help you get around in the town for the day. Like, I don't know how feasible that is, but you could do it. And I'm a daydreamer, so I think of that shit. You know, I'm around.
If I'm being honest, I'm sure that the vans would be completely dead can be now. But like, I miss having a van because like if we're like we since like Generation X hasn't yet ventured out of Austin, but like if we do, well not if, but when we do, like I mean, and I'm not talking about tour, but let's say we want to go to San Antonio or Dallas or Houston. My guess is we're going to be caravanning, like in 3 cars instead of one van, just because, like, we couldn't probably afford, unless we were willing to go back to our 20s living on nothing and fucking our lives up, like any real substantial U.S. tours, unless it was like fly in for a few days and do some shows. And
that's what everybody's doing now. That's
what
everybody's doing now is they're flying out for weekends because that's the only time the shows are packed anyways.
Because the thing is, the States is so big, it's like, even if you're gonna, you're gonna have a great show here, well, you may have like 3 shows in between just to get from where you're at to where you want to be. And like, a lot of places don't do guarantees, so it's like, you got to worry about gas, and gas is more expensive than it used to be, and so it's like, it's just the logistics is so problematic now in a way that it didn't used to be. I mean, it's not like the country grew, but things were cheaper and pay was a little better, I think, back in at least for what the for what things cost. I think
I think inflation has really fucked us up pretty good. But what my thought process on that would be that if I was in a band and I was going to go from Houston and hit up, let's say I had a weekend schedule Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it was just 2 shows. It was Friday on one, Sunday on the other, so I was going to have a day off. Or let's say I was going to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, home show on Friday, and then Austin, and then let's say San Antonio, and then back on Monday.
Little triangle.
Yeah, the way I would do it would be that I would just rent a van and drive it that way, so I have a dependable vehicle. And I'm not putting the miles on all 3 of our cars.
Right.
That's the way.
And gas for 3 cars.
You know what I'm saying? And so that will probably cover the cost of the rental, just the gas on the 3.
I know Dylan's done that a couple of times, and he, I don't know if it's just I think it's just some friend or person he got put in contact who has a van, and like he just kind of often rents it out to vans for a weekend or a long weekend.
That's cool.
Or a week or whatever.
That's cool.
It's like an extra vehicle for them, and so they're not paying like rent-a-car prices for it. But
well, renting cars isn't that expensive. We rented one in Vegas and we had it for the whole week. We drove it everywhere we went to the Grand Canyon.
No, as long as you're returning it back to where you got it, it's like.
You'd want to rent it in town and then return it in town. Yeah, because that could get crazy if you have to.
That's when it gets expensive. Is when you're like, well, I
gotta drop it off
here, so I drop it off at this airport, and then all of a sudden it's like.
They're like, how are we gonna get it back? You're like, I don't know. They're like, okay, it's gonna cost you $250. You're like, okay, never mind. That's no longer a budget, But it's logistics on all that stuff is very complicated, and I don't think people appreciate bands enough for just going to their town because that shit is hard.
Well, but it sucks for them too because they're having to pay more to see the bands because guarantees have to be higher because the costs for the band, but even the big bands.
Yeah, but that shouldn't bother nobody, man. I mean, like, what are we talking? $20 for like a punk band? If you think that paying $20 is too much money to see a band that you really like, I don't get that because it's 2024 and $20 may as well be $5. So
well, but a lot of people, like, if the people don't know the band, they're not necessarily willing to drop 20. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I mean there's
like
that.
Meaning the old days, it's like people would be like, oh, it's a punk rock show, it's $5, I'll check it out. And maybe I like it, maybe I don't, but it's only $5. And
okay, that is definitely different.
That's what I mean. It's like people have to make the decision.
Nowadays, it would probably be like a 10 spot would be where you're like, okay, it's only $10, I'll go, but it is probably like closer to 15, where you're like, all right, 15, I gotta know at least one of the bands, or I'm not really trying to go. Okay, there's a middle ground there where it's like both of those are very, very relevant points. But it's like, I also feel like if you want to be a part of a scene, the scene has to exist, and the only way that it can exist is if you're a part of it, and that part of it is monetary obligation sometimes.
Right, but you also sympathize with.
Oh no, I'm not saying I'm not sympathetic.
I know, but like we all know firsthand too, where it's like, man, I don't really have the money to to go out to this show tonight or whatever, you know, like, I mean, that's not everybody, but there's a lot of people, especially in punk rock, you know, it's like very few people are just rolling in cash, you know, in punk rock. So
I don't think it takes that much effort, man, or money.
Yeah, it just depends.
If you want to go in and buy a bunch of merch, that's when it gets expensive. But if you want to go see the show, you know,
Randy should make a video on all the stuff he bought this.
I'm gonna. You might have already seen that video before you see this one, even. But it's like. I mean, I bought a lot of merch. I don't even want to talk about figures, but you know, and because kids that go to shows, I mean, I get it. I get that there's a cost, and it's like, yeah, I feel empathetic towards it, but it's like, dude, not you specifically, the collective you can't be talking about that, bro. It's just a part of it. If that's too much, it's just like going to a restaurant and being like, well, I don't have enough money to tip. Then you don't have enough money to eat there. I'm sorry, you have to go somewhere that doesn't require that or doesn't expect it in the least. And so, like, it is what it is. If you don't have the money to go to a punk show, then don't bitch when bands don't come to your town.
Well, but also sometimes it's not even like sometimes it's the club who's taking the lion's share of that door prize.
Now that is a whole other conversation.
Well, and so the point is like somebody dropped it, let's say a 20 to get in the door, and they don't have money to really hit the merch table, you know.
No, so that's a different conversation. That I'm on your side 100%, no questions asked, because I don't understand how that's not something that is 100% talked about, signed on a dotted line, an agreement to where now, if it's an agreement and you made the agreement, you can't complain at the end of the day. Yeah. But you got to come to some kind of fair negotiation, and I don't think that no club of any shape or size should be taking any fucking merch money from a band, dude. Like, let's get that. That shit 20%. Is crazy to me, dude. You can't. How do you expect bands to go to your venue if you're taking merch sales? You have no right to take merch sales.
The only, and I say exception, but still 20% is high, because often it's 20% of the gross. So it's not even 20% of net, but 20% of gross.
Of the sales, not the profit?
Right.
That's nutty, dude. Hold on. I'm not trying to get demonetized, but that's some fuck shit right there, people. Like that.
But here's the one thing.
That's crazy.
Like if they actually some venues
that's crazy.
Or festivals.
No wonder shirts are $30 a show.
That's 100% why they're expensive, because they've got to account for what's coming out of the till.
Because I make shirts and I'm always going, how in the fuck can I, who buys very little in bulk, sell a shirt for $20 most of the time shipped? Yet I go to a show where these guys have a little money behind them, and they're $32 for a T-shirt, and that's why, because they're taking 20% of total sales. Yep. That's crazy, dude. Look, I don't like Ronnie Radke's music a whole lot, but that guy's onto something with this shit, bro.
Yeah. And he's not the only one.
No, he's just the one that I thought of recently.
Yeah, very recently.
He's come up in the news a lot about that. Good for him, man. Good for him standing up for that shit.
But some festivals or venues actually have someone there who is inventorying the merch and selling it, so it's not your merch guy or the band selling it.
But you should be able to opt out of that. You should be like, no, we got a merch guy.
I agree, but what I mean is, if they're selling it, well, they got to get paid for what they're doing.
True, but you should be able to go.
When you're selling it yourself, and you're just like, oh, I got to give you 20% just for this space in a corner, you know? Like,
look, so here's the thing. Now, tell me if I'm wrong. I've only been in 2 bands, but we played enough shows where I feel like this is how it always worked out everywhere we ever played. There was, if we had a guarantee we weren't a headliner anyways, it was like $150.
Yeah.
And we got each of us got $30-50 somewhere in that neighborhood, right? And then the merch money was our money. Door money was theirs outside of our money we were promised. And then they got liquor sales, right? Isn't that how it should always be? It's like, okay, we discussed the door. That money can get divided up between the venue and the bands. And I would say that if there's like 3 bands in the venue, I think everybody should get an equal share personally, 25% per each. And then the venue. So like, do I get to go get like a portion of your liquor sales because I brought the people there to buy the liquor? Of course not. That's crazy. Why would I ask for that?
Well, there's a few ways that I've experienced it. Sometimes it's like the band gets 100% of the door, or bands, whatever it might be. Sometimes they have a guarantee. Sometimes there's a guarantee and what they call a break even, which is like after X number, then they start paying you on top of the guarantee. And then
I think that's nice, actually.
And then sometimes the venue keeps all of the door, and you're just like doing it on merch.
The way if you're a venue owner, the smart thing to do is to give them a guarantee and then advertise right. Fill your place up, and then the guarantee is, let's say it's $500, but you bring in $2,500 in door sales. Well, you gave them their $500 or whatever it is. Let's say the local band gets $250 or whatever, right? Well, you got your $250, and then we made, let's say, X, whatever the dollar amount is. They get to keep that. Or if you split the door, you might end up paying them more than you want to. So, like, just give them the money they're owed and just let them have what they're promised. Like, it doesn't make sense. There's a way for everybody to be happy. And these venue owners are so greedy. And then they talk about, oh, it's because of this or that. And it's like, no, dude. That stuff has been there. Whatever, property taxes, rent, all that shit has been there since you opened. Yep. Don't tell me that it's changed so much so that you now start
unless you opened 20 years ago, then maybe you're dealing with something different. But to your point,
even 20 years ago, you still had your rent. You still knew what was happening. So this year, it was a sliding scale. So you didn't just wake up one day and all of a sudden your rent was 3x. No, it gradually got that way. So you increased prices of your drinks a little bit. Your door got a little higher so you don't need to just suddenly start taking money from the I just don't get it. I would never agree to that. If I was
think
a
the
band.
Reason Kick Butt works here.
God, that place is awesome. Dude, shout out to Kick Butt Coffee. Man, that place was really cool, man.
Keeping the scene alive here. Because they're not downtown, they're not paying downtown rent.
That matters.
Because they're open during the day as a coffee shop.
That helps.
And the owner, the reason it's called Kick Butt Coffee is the owner's like I don't know what degree,
martial
black
artist.
belt.
That's what I thought. That's the vibe I got.
And he gives like kids kung fu lessons and stuff in the day and stuff. Like they host like.
So he's a smart person. He's got different things that can bring in
at night,
money.
It's a venue, but during the day it's like not a restaurant, but a coffee shop restaurant and dojo for like young students.
So
and
that's cool though.
Hosts events like my buddy JT does like stand-up comedy stuff.
Okay.
Like he'll they host his events there, and it's pretty. I mean, it's just a really cool joint.
I hope it stays there for a very long time because I had a blast at that place. Everybody was cool. Everybody that worked there was nice. Now everybody wasn't kissing everybody's ass. They were all polite. They were all professional.
Security. Because there's no need for it.
It didn't feel like there was so much need for it. Now that might change, who knows? But it didn't feel. I felt like my kids could have been there last night, and outside the noise level being very loud, that they would have had a great time. Which I thought
there were some kids there,
But that was a very fun experience. I had a great time last night. And
clean bathrooms at a venue too. Come on.
That was.
That's kind of a trip, right?
They had a bunch of stickers everywhere, but there was no dirt and grime, no pee or
toilets were clean. Nothing on the
dude,
floor.
I almost took a photo, bro. I was this close to taking a picture and being like, check this out, guys. But yeah, I heard about that place through Poppers and they love it too, man. So shout out to Kick Butt Coffee for being, in my opinion, one of the better places that I've ever been. I miss some places in Houston that were around, but I miss Fitzgerald's. Yeah, bro, I miss Fitzgerald's.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, dude. That one hit me hard. I'd say the bulk of my growing up was done in that place.
Well, I will say, I had a love-hate relationship with Fitz as a playing band because in the early days, 30 Foot would have us on their shows and stuff, and so those were always cool.
Yeah.
But if you went there, independently, they did the "Who Are You Here to See" shit, and if you're a touring band, that sucks because they're going out to the local show, And if they don't specifically say your band name, if they say I'm here for the whole show, then Fitz kept the money. If they said they were here to see this other band, they got the money. So if you're a road band,
that was weird.
Yeah,
that I never understood that.
We got in a real heavy argument with the staff one night at Fitz about that because we'd always play with 30 Foot, and
so who's everybody going to say? They're going to say 30 Foot,
right? But
because
I guess 30 Foot either gave us a guarantee or just paid us out. Oh, don't worry, dude. They're meant to do that. And that was in September, so
true. I was like, I'm over here breaking shit.
No.
30 Foot Fall is a pretty relevant band in Houston. So, and those guys are good dudes, though. So, I feel like they would probably take care of other people. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, they took care of us.
Yeah.
I can say that. And we played with Bickley.
What was their drummer's name?
Okay, the first one was was it Damon? He went on to do Phoenix TX.
No, wasn't that guy.
That guy was so good.
He was good.
He sounded like he was playing with a double bass pedal, but he only had one.
And I was a big corn-fed white boy. Big corn-fed white dude.
Oh, I think that guy played in either Latchkey Kids.
Yeah, I think he was in Latchkey Kids.
I think he was.
That guy worked.
I
say worked. He played in a cover band as well. And I worked in the Woodlands at a sports bar, and I was just a bar back. And I'm in there one day, and I'm bringing ice to the front, and it's Friday, so we have our house band.
We played at some coffee shop in the Woodlands once. It was most of it was underage kids getting dropped off. They couldn't.
I miss those days.
They didn't quite understand punk rock fashion, so they just had safety pins in their t-shirts.
Oh yeah.
And but you know their mom would drop them off, and they had like soda machines.
That's the ones we gotta water them little plants, dude. All right, kids.
100%.
Grow up.
But it was cool.
Sew that on next time. Grow up.
They paid the bands well. Like they had all these soda machines for the kids to just help themselves
that's
too,
awesome.
And like and then like you know coffee if you wanted it or whatever. But I think they had a bar. I think, but yeah, it was usually like probably 14 to 16 was the average age of the people who were there.
Hey man, that's some sprouts, dude. This place in the Woodlands.
I love that, you know?
I'm in there bar backing one night. I'm like bringing ice up, and the house band's gonna, or not the house band, but the cover band's gonna play that night. And I'm like walking in, and I'm walking past the drummer, right? And we're looking at each other, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know him. And he's like, I'm pretty sure I know that kid. And then we're just walking back and forth, back and forth. And then the guy gets up, tests the microphone, and he's like, test. And he starts saying names. I think I don't know what he was doing. He was just testing the mic, but he was saying everybody's name. And he goes, and then so, he's from 30-Foot Fall, guys. And I'm like, shh, huh? I do know you. No. And then, so we started talking, and I would see him every Friday for like a good solid year I worked there. I saw him every Friday. It was really cool, man. He was very nice. We weren't like friends, but we were buddies, man. He was a good dude, very, very nice guy. And it was funny to watch him play like 90s alt rock covers, and then like just go ham on the fucking kit, dude. Just doing fills that weren't there, and like just it was fun, bro. It was good times. But that was a fun place to hang out. Rookies Sports Bar in the Woodlands. I don't know if it's still there, but that place was. It was plenty sketchy, but it was fun times, man. I had a good time there. That was, oh goodness. Okay, so I was in that place one day. This is the kind of place this was. My boss, the guy that runs the whole place. The internet is like kind of starting to be a thing, and he's like, hey Randall, you like weird shit? Come here. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I mean you're not wrong, but what's up? And he goes, have you heard about this new video? Do you know what video I'm talking about? This is like circa 2003 or 4. Maybe 5 even. 2003 to 5. He goes, yeah, it's called Two Girls, One Cup.
Oh God.
And I was like, what's that? And he goes, are you squeamish? And I'm like, no. And he goes, all right, here, I'll be right back. And he goes, boop. And in his play, he goes, take a seat. He's like, you'll like it. And I was like, okay. And so I started watching it, and I'm like, and I'm horrified.
Bridge too far.
Yeah. But the point was is that place was like one of those places where we had so much fun in there. Yeah. And the boss was even a pretty fun guy, but I got canned from that place because of narcotics. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, I think it was a case of like, I have to fire you.
You fired yourself.
I fired myself. And he was like, I don't want to fire you, bro, but I got to. And he was like, you're my best bar back, but dude, you can't do that here. And I was like, my bad, dude. Like, all right, well, see ya. It was a good place to work, though. It was a lot of fun, man. I had a lot of fun because they had live music. They had reasonably priced drinks, but in the back they also had like 3-quarter tables so they play pool. Yeah. Dude, they don't have places like that anymore where you have live music. Yeah, live music, little shitty pool tables, and then like a reasonably priced bar. I haven't seen a place like that in forever now. Admittedly, I don't go out and drink anymore, so like I don't know if that shit exists somewhere, but I haven't been.
Well, that's how the back room here used to be. Like one side was the venue.
Is it back room?
Back room, yeah, and the other side was pool tables and like arcade games, and there were bars on both sides.
That's dope. Like, dude, puppies over here laying in the sun, soaking it up.
But now it's the new emos. Like, they don't open, but except for shows. I don't know how they're paying the rent. It's a huge.
Taking people's merch.
Well, maybe, probably.
That's fucked up.
If that's not true emos, I apologize, but.
It's actually the new emos. I thought you were saying like it's the new emos, as in like it's the place that represents.
No, it is.
Oh, they're probably not doing that then. Emos is good people. At least in my experiences. Shoot, I feel like I asked now.
But it was a huge spot. Like when it was the back room, the show side, I think capacity was 900 something, and that was with it split in half. So now they've opened it up completely.
Okay.
Like I saw Brian Fallon play there one time.
Oh, that guy's so good.
It's a huge room. And there was this pole. Anyone who ever went to the back room and played on that stage will remember this pole, because it was a support beam basically, but it was like this red pole, and it was like right in front of the stage, like, and so if you walked out to the barricade, if they actually had planks on the barricade, and you could never tell because it was too dark until you stepped out and figured out if there was a floor underneath you or just
jeez Louise.
But that pole is still there. It's just they opened the whole thing up. But
I've seen a lot of dudes run into like support beams, like circle pitting and shit. I'll be honest, it's pretty hilarious. Because it's like, bro, you got to know that's there. Like, what are you doing? Or they're just drunk and they're just having a good time. Ping.
We were playing. I won't remember if it was North or South Carolina, and I don't remember the name of the city. This was so many years ago, but we were on tour with Angel City Outcasts.
God, good band.
I think Flatfoot 56.
Oh, good band.
And
dude, you've toured with some really good bands.
There were a couple of local bands playing, and you know, it was someone else's manager was handling the tour. We didn't have a manager, so like the good news is like when you don't have a manager, you and someone else is just handling your shit. Well, you're never the bad guy, you know, because the manager's the one who's arguing either with the venue, the club, the promoter, or whatever. And I guess the manager demanded that like the openers, I guess, either play later or earlier. I don't know which. This was a long time ago. But the band in question was not happy about it, and Born to Lose was sitting at this sidebar, like making friends, you know, and like this guy walks out of the venue room and he's so pissed off, and he just punches this pole, but I don't think he thought about it because it was a metal pole, and we saw it happen, and you could tell him that he was trying to play it off, but he was like, but like he probably broke his hand, you know, and like instantly he
didn't realize it was cement inside of the metal or some nonsense.
I think he just instantly regretted it, but like he didn't want to like because he was mad. He didn't want to show that. He was just basically
you don't want to look like a punk, but you're like, oh, that's probably gonna cost me some. That's funny, bro. Man, it's a 3:45. I think I'm gonna bounce up out of here, dude.
All right.
Anybody's watching this, thank you, man. This trip was fucking awesome, dude. I had so much fun.
Your family and wife for letting you come down here.
Yeah, dude, for real. Like, shout out to the wife.
Here. I always get that reversed. I forget that Houston's technically south.
I guess it is, yeah. But yeah, shout out to my wife for being super awesome and like accommodating to the things I need to do to grow the channel and the community. You guys wouldn't have this stuff to watch if it wasn't for her being so sweet. So, but yeah, man, I had a blast, dude. Like, I'm looking forward to another trip up here, hopefully in the next month or so. We'll figure out the schematics for the
if we
logistics
get the vinyl in time, then I guess the 16th of February I think is probably because we have that on the books, and so if the vinyl's here on time, that's going to be the release show. Okay, and it'll be a kick butt again.
Well, then I'll have the tapes by then. I'm almost certain.
And it's also with a buddy of mine, Dave Armstrong. Man, Nowhere Bound did. I say Nowhere Bound. It was me. Like Nash was in the Fire Academy at the time.
Okay.
And we took on this. It was the flyers actually in the kitchen. It was at Headhunters, and they asked if I'd do like a happy hour sets or whatever. And I was playing one night, and Dave originally I think is from Alaska, and he's blind now, but he could still see at the time.
Was he there last night?
No, that was a drummer. Dave's like a singer, and like he's got a band called Dave Armstrong and the Bottlenecks.
I like it. That's a good name.
They did their artwork for they're doing a digital release that night, and I said, well, if the records are on time, we'll just do a double release. He's like, sounds great.
Sounds awesome.
And it'll be a kick butt, but he's.
Well, I'll have tapes for sure, and I might even have. If I'm gonna be able to come up here and hang out with you on that, I might just fill my car up with LPs and bring a bunch of stuff to sit up and do what Homeboy did. Because think about people would be so stoked to be able to go to a show and then flip through records. I can bring like 2 crates and that's plenty.
And a buddy of mine, Eros, I think is gonna DJ that night. He asked if he could DJ the release night. So if that indeed is the release night, then he'll be DJing. So
that's awesome.
If there's anything you want him to play, I'm sure he'll take requests.
Dude, that's awesome. Cool, man. Well, I'm gonna shout out to everybody. Y'all have a great day. Happy New Year. Like and subscribe, all that jazz. Check out Generation Exit stuff. We're gonna have the album on my channel soon, and on my Bandcamp, and then on their Bandcamp, and it'll be free to listen to. So don't worry about that. Just if you want the physical copies, vinyl first, of course, right? That's the most desired piece of artwork. But tapes will be available too. And just stay in touch. Follow the bands and reach out if you want to talk to Chris about anything. You can email me or whatever. You can hit me up for whatever. Just it's a community. That doesn't mean you don't have to be invisible to us, So, but yeah, have a great day, everybody. Peace. I at least wanted to stop the filming so I could